Hey there, welcome to No Nonsense November, day 4. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with a flip book. This is actually my current flip book, 2020. SHE is my initials. And we're going to talk about a tool which actually is kind of a specialized form of journalism. Journaling. Definitely no journalism here. Journaling that I've been doing for at least a decade, probably longer. I want to say probably 15, 20 years I've been doing this. And I actually in 2015 wrote a book, and this is really funny. This is just my unedited version of the book, and it's called a flip book. It's kind of a thick book, but because it's a living, breathing journaling document workbook type thing. And I don't remember when and how I started doing it, but I started before my sudden cardiac arrest. But then I really got into it in depth after my sudden cardiac arrest, using this as a tool to aid my recovery, to do all kinds of things. So a flip book is just a journal or a notebook. I like it to be, size that I can carry it around. This is actually my current favorite style. I think I've probably done a dozen of these, a dozen of this particular format. Before I wrote the book, I had done, and basically the book is sharing probably my seventh flip book, my seventh version of a flip book, and what I was doing, and then how I used it, and we'll talk about the steps to using it, the 7 steps to using a flip book, the benefits of using a flip book, why the heck would you want to. But I want to show you what it is first, because it can be different for everybody. I've used these for at least a dozen of these. I've used little simple notebooks where I could just flip the pages. I've used little cheap notebooks from the dollar store or from Target or from any store that you might go to, Walmart, wherever. I've actually used Post-it notepads where I would just use them, and I would write comments or notes or things that I wanted to learn or focus on or study. And then I would just flip through the Post-it notes, or I would hang them around me and I would just see them and review them on a regular basis. So there's all kinds of ways you can make this process your own. But those are just, I wanted to show you, okay, what is it? It's actually a physical book where you can turn or flip the pages. It could just be a regular notebook, a regular standard notebook that you use. But what I like to do is I like to write, let me show you. I like to write big things in my flip book. Because my eyes are getting bad, maybe that's why I started using them. But I might have pages about project or business topics I want to do, right? Here's one about done for you type content and things I could create, because I want to be able to look at it and think about, well, how would I make that a reality? What are possible? What are the pluses and minuses of wanting to do that? So it's mainly, I use it as a thinking tool. My flip books are focusing and thinking tools that I use to put my attention on the things that I want to create in my life, not on the things that are maybe bothering me in my life. So why would you want to use a flip book? I'm going to actually go to the flip book. And this is, again, you can tell it's my unedited version. Wrote this in 2015, and it was published on Amazon. And I don't really talk about it or share it or use it very much, except with my consulting or private coaching clients, because it's a very personal tool, right? It's a very personal tool. So I'm going to grab my magnifying glass and just share some of the reasons you might want to use a flip book. And we'll then talk about the 6 steps. How do you use it? What's the process for using a flip book? You can either find a journal or a flip book or a workbook or things that are already done for you, or you can make up your own like I do. You can create your own. I originally created my own because I was learning a ton of things. I was studying and learning and working on personal development while running my businesses and things on the side. And I wanted to make sure that I was continually growing and developing as a person. And so it was just a quick way that I could write things down that I was thinking about or focusing on, and I could carry it with me. So whenever I got a minute or two during the day, I could grab it and I could work on ideas or thoughts or projects or things that I was considering that I otherwise wouldn't have had a block of time that I could work on. I don't know about you, but raising my kids, I had 2 very active, very involved children, and running several businesses simultaneously was challenging, taxing, was interesting, was awesome, but it was also run. And so it became about how can I find pockets of time, little bitty pockets of time. I'm talking 5 minutes to 15 minutes where I could hop into and switch my brain into, okay, I'm going to use this as productive time versus sitting in the car and waiting to pick up the kids at school. That was one of my favorite times to actually work on my flip book, work on my ideas, work on projects, and thinking quiet time, till they got in the car. Then it wasn't so quiet anymore. But that was one of the ways that I could use my flip book. So what do we use what did I use flip books for? Well, I use them to reduce stress, to improve my health, to create positive habit, to make a daily escape, or anytime I needed an instant mind shift. If I was having a bad experience in one of my businesses, or something was happening, or something happened that threw me off a little bit because it was unexpected, I might take 5 minutes, or even a minute, even 30 seconds, to just open my flip book to a random page, see what the message was there, and then just as a pattern interrupt, so that I would have a better response to what was going on than my gut instinct initial response to freak out and say, oh, it's the end of the world, because I have a tendency to do that sometimes. You can use it to get what you want. You can use it to change what you're focusing on. You can use them to shift your thinking, create a positive, continuous improving spiral in your life, achieve a goal, change anything that you desire, change your mental state, your mood, or your emotions. You can use it to deal with a difficult situation or difficult people. It's kind of that escape thing. You can use it as a tool to learn and grow. You can stop doing things that are not in your own best interest, or things that don't feel good to you, and then you can let go of anything that doesn't serve you. I've used it to focus on looking at situations in my past that maybe weren't the most positive, that I wanted to rework and reimagine so that they would lose their emotional power and negative charge on me and my performance. And they help you to live the life that you deserve, the life that you're here for, to let go of the things that don't serve you, but focus on the things that you want. So you're always moving in the direction of what you want. So those were some of the things that, and some of the reasons I liked and was attracted to the whole flip book idea. Now, my experience to flip books prior to this was children's flip books, where you flip pages when you're reading books to little kids, or flip books like you'd use for sales presentations, or for sharing information about your products or services in business. Flip books are really, really popular. They're a little book that will kind of stand up, and you can just flip the beautiful graphic pages to show people all the features and benefits about your product or service. So that was my experience with flip books, until I found and started using them as my own personal development tool. So how do you use a flip book? How do you use it? I in the book, I share a 7-step process, which is really, you know, there's a process for everything and anything, but people, and me included, I like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. What do I do? How do I do this? Well, step 1 is, of course, get a flip book. Either get a flip book, somebody else's that you can use and experience, or create your own. Even though I wrote a book on it, this was just one of my flip books. And as I'm looking at this now, I'm kind of embarrassed from 5 years ago, and I would love to redo this as a project. And I probably will. I know I have a free version. If anybody's interested in it, just hit me up and I will go find the link to that. I've never really shared or promoted this, like I said, unless it's with my direct coaching clients and it's a fit. It's something that I really think that would help or benefit them. Otherwise, I don't share it. Not because it hasn't helped me a ton, but sometimes we have these little secret weapons and these secret things that we do, and we don't even realize that we're holding them tight to us and we're keeping them a secret, when really I would be more than happy to share it with the world and have people be using flip books like I have. So step 1, get a flip book or create your own. Again, my whole point of that was I have a flip book and I could use this. I could probably work on this book and add to this book for as long as I live, right? But I like to have focused flip books. So this one is all of 2020, because 2020 is such an interesting year. But sometimes I'll have a specific work flip book, or professional work, financial type mindset things go into one flip book, and I focus on that. Or I might have a relationship flip book. I had a relationship flip book before my divorce, and obviously I focused on the things that I thought were in my best interest, which meant that that relationship was no longer in my best interest. So step 1, get a book. Number 2, use it, right? People buy books all the time and they never crack the cover, or they get a new notebook. I have got, and I am a journal person, right? I just found a journal that I totally forgot. I found 2 today that I totally forgot I even had. One's in my traveling briefcase and one was under a table that I was looking for my old flip books. I wanted to grab my stack of flip books and show you, but I'm pretty sure I've got them packed away in a box. And so it's buried. And I'm like, all right, I don't have that much energy to go find the flip books. I'll just use my current one. But you have to use it daily. And this is more than something you're going to read. Like sometimes when I first started, I just wrote a lot of things, and a lot of things I wanted to focus on, a lot of things I wanted to, and lessons I wanted to learn. And I would look at the page. I would just read it really fast. I would read because I wanted to reprogram my mind in a positive way. And you can do it that way. Or sometimes I would just look at one page and I would stop on a page that spoke to me, and I would think about that whole page for my allotted amount of time. I used to like to pick 15 minutes blocks, or I would go for a walk, and for 15 minutes I would sit on a bench down by the river, and I would go through my flip book. And sometimes I would get to page 6. Sometimes I'd stop on the first page. Sometimes I would just randomly open it, and I would look at a page, and I would think about the message or the thought or the you know, whatever was on that page. Maybe it was the universal laws. Maybe it was physical laws. Maybe it was a question. A lot of times I love affirmations and questions, and maybe it was just a question, you know, what do you really want? There's no more powerful question, I don't think, than what do you really want, or what else is possible? So you need to commit that you're going to spend some time with it daily. And I say daily, maybe commit to 30 days, right? Okay, every day for 30 days, I'm going to spend 5 minutes creating my flip book, or I'm going to spend 5 minutes reading a message, or thinking about a message or more messages in my flip book. There were sometimes I'd read the whole thing. And there were other days where I would just, I would get stopped on a page, and it was usually because there was something going on in one area or aspect of my life that needed my attention. And so it was a quick way to discover what needed my attention, what I needed to do next. You want to breathe and think about what you're experiencing and reading, what it means to you. The most important thing in the world is what things mean to you. It doesn't matter what any of these things mean to me. That's part of why I left it purposefully lots of white space and open, so that you can write in it. And I do the same thing with my flip book now. Like, for example, this is my meditation page. I just started that as I'm doing these tools. I thought, okay, I'm going to have a page for each of the tools I talk about. And I'm just going to, now it's after the fact, but I'm going to think about what comes up when I think of meditation. What comes up when I think of flip books? What comes up when I think of affirmations? And do that for each of the tools that we're covering in 2020. I probably need a bigger book if I want to talk about each tool on its own page, but and there's some tools and some things that are redundant or repetitive. I think we talked about in the last Get Up and Go challenge, you know, your motto, your code of conduct, your mission, your purpose, your principles, your values, those all tie together, right? And they all can fall under different names and different categories, and you can structure them any way you want. So then step 4 is to add notes and ahas, lessons learned, realizations that you have as you're reading. When I look at the meditation page, I will add, okay, meditation, anything that comes up new for me or reminds me of something that's important to me, I'm going to write down on that particular page. I believe in, and I've always been a write in my books kind of gal. I learned it in my engineering classes in college, that if I didn't write my own interpretation and summarize in the margins of the book, I didn't remember, and I didn't retain the information. So I've always been somebody who highlights, underlines, writes little notes in the margin in my books. And so to me, I don't have a problem writing in my books. If you have a problem writing in books, get 2 copies, one that you keep clean and nice on the bookshelf, and one that you actually use and make your own. I guarantee you'll get way more out of the book that you use than the book that sits on the bookshelf. So I will step 4. Step 5, I will repeat steps 2 through 5. So I will read my flip book, I will breathe and think about what I'm reading, and I will add notes, excitement, comments, etc., or document thoughts, feelings, aha moments, ideas, and learnings in my book over and over again for as long as I have allotted for the time that I'm working on. Or maybe I'm sitting in the car, or I'm wherever, and I get a thought or an idea. In the book it goes. So decide when it's time. And I actually fill books up, right? And so I decide, when is it time for me to keep reviewing the book that I've already got going, and when is it time to create a new one? And this was really interesting. I think I probably used my first flip book for a year and a half before I realized that the messages in there I had learned and internalized, and the lessons, I had captured my lessons learned, and I was actually running out of space to write down ideas and thoughts and things in that book. And I decided it was time to create a new flip book. So I just created a new flip book. And I took from that first flip book the things that I found the most powerful. So if meditation was one that was in the first flip book, and it probably was, I've carried that through to each of my subsequent flip books. But it's up to you to know, well, when is it time for a new one? When is it time for me to move on and create and get a new one? Or when is it time for me to explore and look into other topics and things? And then step 7 I have is share you with the world. Big you, the developing, the continuing, improving, the you that you want to impact the world with. Make sure that you are showing up and sharing the things that you're learning and the person that you're becoming with other people, with other things in the world around you and in your life. So that's a flip book. That's how I use flip books. Like I said, I've been using them for at least a decade, probably like 15 years for sure, I think. I think I started using them before my sudden I know I started using them before my sudden cardiac arrest. I'm trying to think of how many I had before my sudden cardiac arrest, before in 2015. My granddaughter was born in 2015. So I only remember this because I got my magnifying glass out and I looked at the dedication and the acknowledgments and the date that it was published, and it was 2015. So long time ago. I mean, I actually thought it was longer ago than that, but it's still, 5 years going on 6 years ago. But I still use a version of the flip books and the tools today. And I have a version of this book, the actually published book, that I do write in and go through periodically. I don't pick it up as often as I used to, which is why it's not handy. I think last year when I started moving, that became stuff had to get put away and put aside, and my written in version of that. But this one was on my desk. I have no idea why this one was on my desk, because I should probably throw it away. It's just the unedited version. But it's a way to show that, even when you think you got something right, you wouldn't believe all the markups in this book. Lots of them. And nowadays, I need someone else to edit my things because of my eyes. Magnifying glass editing, not so fun. All right, any questions on flip books? Any thoughts, ideas, feelings? Ask me in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow with another No-Nonsense November tool that you can use right now. We're going to talk about a tool a day to help you, or for you to explore, to move forward and get what you want in your life. Have a great day. Bye. See you tomorrow.